My name is Lauren Bennett, and I'm 31 years old. The auditorium at Oakwood Middle School buzzed with anticipation, its stage lit by harsh fluorescence that glinted off the polished wood floor. It was April 15, 2025, and my nephew Theo was about to perform in his school's talent show, a moment he'd been practicing for weeks. At 12, Theo was a quiet kid with a gift for the violin, his notes sharp and soulful, a contrast to his shy demeanor. I sat in the third row, my hands clasped tightly, a proud smile masking the unease that had settled in my chest. The room was packed with parents, teachers, and students. My parents, Judith, 60, and Martin, 63, sat beside me, their faces beaming with pride for Theo. My older sister, Monica, 35, was in the front row, her posture stiff, her auburn hair pulled into a tight bun. Her husband, Philip, 37, whispered something to her, but her eyes were fixed on the stage, cold and unreadable. Theo's best friend, Max, 12, fidgeted nearby, clutching a skateboard, while their teacher, Miss Clara, 42, adjusted the microphone stand. A few family friends, Beth, 39, a baker with a warm laugh, and her partner, Simon, 40, a librarian, chatted softly in the back, their presence a comfort in the crowded space. Theo stepped onto the stage, his violin tucked under his arm, his navy blazer slightly too big. The crowd hushed as he began, his bow drawing out a haunting melody that filled the room. I leaned forward, my heart swelling, but Monica's rigid posture caught my eye. She'd been distant for months, her calls curt, her visits to our parents' house rare. I'd chalked it up to stress, her tech startup was struggling, but tonight, her tension felt personal, directed at Theo. The applause erupted as Theo finished, his cheeks flushed with shy pride. He bowed, and Miss Clara stepped up to introduce the next act. But before she could speak, Monica stood, her heels clicking as she strode to the stage. She snatched the microphone from Miss Clara's hand, her face a mask of determination.
"Ze kraut murmuret, confuset, es I froze, my breed catching."
"Everyone," Monica said, her voice sharp and clear, "I have something to say about Theo." Judith grabbed my arm, her eyes wide. "What's she doing?" she whispered.
"I shook my head, dread pooling in my gut."
Monica's gaze swept the room, lingering on me for a moment, her eyes glinting with something dark. Anger maybe, or spite. "Theo's not my biological son," she announced, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "He's adopted. Philip and I took him in when he was a baby." Gasps rippled through the auditorium, Theo's face paling as he stood frozen on stage. My heart pounded, rage flaring. Theo didn't know. Monica and Philip had always planned to tell him when he was older, a private moment they'd promised to handle with care. Now, she'd ripped that away, exposing him in front of his school, his friends, his world. Philip stood, his face red, and hissed, "Monica, stop." But she ignored him, her voice rising. "I'm tired of pretending. He deserves the truth, and so do you all." Theo dropped his violin bow, the clatter echoing in the silent room. He ran off stage, Max chasing after him.
"I bolted from my seat, pussing trug ze kraut to the wings, my mind racing."
Monica stepped down, her expression unreadable as parents whispered and Miss Clara scrambled to regain control. I found Theo backstage, curled in a corner, his eyes wet. "Aunt Lauren," he choked out, "is it true?" I knelt beside him, my voice soft but firm. "You're their son, Theo.
"Te love you."
"But yes, it's true. I'm so sorry she did this." He buried his face in my shoulder, and I held him, my anger at Monica burning hotter. "Why now?"
"WHY like this?"
I'd always known about Theo's adoption. Monica had confided in me years ago, swearing me to secrecy until they were ready to tell him. Her startup struggles, her fights with Philip, her resentment toward our parents' favoritism for me. None of it justified this cruelty. Max hovered nearby, his skateboard forgotten, his eyes wide. "She's awful," he muttered, and I didn't disagree. Back in the auditorium, Monica faced a storm of whispers. Judith confronted her, her voice low but sharp.
"Who called you, Monica?"
"He's a child." Monica's jaw tightened. "He's my son."
"I decide what's best."
Philip pulled her aside, his voice a harsh whisper, but she shook him off, storming out. Martin looked at me, his face ashen. "She's been unraveling," he said quietly. But this, it's too far. I took Theo home with me, his violin case clutched like a lifeline. He was quiet, his questions halting. Why didn't they tell me?
Ami not good genug.
My heart broke, but I kept my voice steady. You're more than enough, Theo. Monica was wrong to do this. We'll figure it out. At my apartment, I texted Daniel. Monica told everyone Theo's adopted at the talent show. He's with me. Help. His reply was instant. I'm coming over.
She's lost it.
Beth called, her voice shaking.
Lauren, ISAVIT everyone's talking. What's Monica's deal?
I sighed, exhaustion creeping in.
I don't know.
But she hurt Theo, and I'm not letting that slide. Beth offered to bring food, but I declined, needing space to think. Monica's public betrayal wasn't just about Theo, it felt like a strike at me, at our family. She'd always resented my closeness with Theo, my role as the cool aunt who took him to concerts, taught him chords. Was this her way of reclaiming control? I tucked Theo into my guest room, his eyes heavy with tears and confusion. As he slept, I opened my laptop, pulling up old emails from Monica. One from last year caught my eye. You're always Theo's favorite, Lauren. It's like I'm not even his mom. The bitterness was clear now, a seed that had grown into tonight's explosion. I needed to know why she'd snapped, and how to protect Theo from her fallout. My phone buzzed. Miriam, heard about the talent show. I've got contacts who can dig into Monica's recent moves, work, finances, anything.
Want to start?
I replied, yes. Find out what's driving her. Monica's cruelty was a weapon, but I'd wield truth to fight back. Theo deserved better, and I'd make sure he got it, even if it meant tearing down my sister's lies. The Brooklyn morning was cool and overcast on April 16, 2025, the sky a heavy gray that mirrored the weight in my chest. Theo slept in my guest room, his violin case propped against the wall, a silent reminder of the talent show where Monica had shattered his world. Her cruel announcement, that Theo was adopted, revealed to a stunned auditorium, played on a loop in my mind. I sat at my kitchen table, a cold coffee mug in hand, staring at the laptop screen where Monica's bitter email from last year lingered. You're always Theo's favorite, Lauren. Her resentment had festered, but to hurt Theo like this? It was unforgivable. Daniel arrived at 9 a.m., his coat damp from a light drizzle, his face etched with concern. How's Theo? He asked, setting a bag of bagels on the counter.
I seid, rubbing my temples.
He's asleep, but he's a mess. Asked why they didn't tell him, if he's not good enough. Daniel's jaw tightened, his voice low. Monica's lost it. This wasn't just about Theo, it's about you too. She's always been jealous of how close you are with him. I nodded, my anger flaring. She hurt him to get to me. I need to know why.
My phone buzzed. Beth, Theo okay?
Monica's been posting cryptic stuff online, saying she's done hiding. I frowned, opening Monica's social media. Her latest post was vague but pointed. Some truths hurt, but they set you free.
My blood boiled.
She was doubling down, framing her cruelty as honesty. I showed Daniel, who shook his head. She's spinning it. We need to figure out what's driving her. Work, Philip, something. I agreed, texting Miriam. Anything on Monica's recent moves? Her reply was quick, her startup's tanking. Investors pulled out last month. She's been erratic, fighting with Philip. The pieces clicked. Monica's stress, her resentment, her need to control the narrative. But exposing Theo's adoption so publicly? It was a calculated strike, not a breakdown. I opened my laptop, digging through old texts from Monica. One from February caught my eye. Theo's always with you. I'm his mom, Lauren, not you. The venom was clear now, a prelude to her outburst. She's been planning this, I said, showing Daniel. This wasn't spontaneous. He nodded, his eyes dark. We need to talk to Philip. He might know what set her off. Philip worked at a law firm in Manhattan, a 20-minute subway ride away.
I left Theo a note, et Onkel Daniels, back soon.
Love you, and we headed out, the city's hum muted by my focus. Philip's office was all glass and steel, his desk piled with files. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened, his eyes red. Lauren, Daniel, he said, standing. I'm so sorry about last night. Monica. She's not herself.
I crossed my arms, my voice sharp.
Not herself? She humiliated Theo in front of his school. Why? Philip sank into his chair, running a hand through his hair. Her startup's failing. She's been spiraling, blaming everyone, especially you, Lauren. She thinks you're trying to steal Theo. My heart sank, but my anger held. Steal him? I'm his aunt. She's his mom. Why hurt him to hurt me? Philip's eyes dropped. She's been drinking, fighting with me. Last week, she found an old journal of yours at our parents' house.
So meeting about wanting kids, feeling like Theo's yours.
It set her off.
I froze, my breed catching.
My journal from years ago, when I was grieving a miscarriage and envied Monica's bond with Theo. I'd left it at Judith and Martin's forgotten. She read that and thought I'd take him? I asked, my voice shaking. Philip nodded.
She's paranoid.
Thinks you're the better mom. Last night was her way of reclaiming control. Daniel leaned forward, his voice low.
Did she plan to tell Theo like that? Philip hesitated. I don't know.
She's been talking about truth for weeks, but I didn't expect this.
I paced the office, my mind racing.
Monica's jealousy had twisted her, but humiliating Theo was a line she couldn't uncross. What's her next move? I asked.
Philip sighed.
She's at home, refusing to talk. I'm worried she'll do something worse, like tell Theo more about his birth parents. My blood chilled. Theo didn't know their identities. Monica and Philip had promised to wait until he was 18. If she revealed that now, it could break him. We left Philip's office, my resolve hardening. We need to protect Theo, I said to Daniel as we rode the subway back. If Monica's this unhinged, she might hurt him again. He nodded, pulling out his phone. I'll call a lawyer friend, see if we can get a restraining order or something to keep her away from Theo for now. My phone buzzed. Miriam found Monica's financials. She's in debt, big time. Also, she's been emailing a PI about you.
My heart raced. A private investigator?
Monica was digging into me, looking for dirt to justify her actions. Back at my apartment, Theo was awake, eating a bagel, his eyes still red. Aunt Lauren, is Mom mad at me? He asked, his voice small. I knelt beside him, my voice soft.
No, Theo.
She's mad at herself, and she took it out on you. That's not okay. He nodded, but his shoulders slumped. I hugged him, my anger at Monica burning brighter. She'd wounded him to lash out at me, and I'd make sure she faced the consequences.
I texted Bev, can you check on Judith and Martin?
Monica might go to them next. Her reply was quick, on it. They're shaken, but with you. I called Ms. Clara, Theo's teacher, to explain. He's staying with me for now, I said. Monica's not stable. Clara's voice was gentle. I'll keep an eye on him at school. The kids are gossiping, but I'll handle it. Gratitude mixed with my fury. Theo's world was cracking, and I'd hold it together. As evening fell, my phone pinged. Simon, Monica's at a bar, posting about family betrayal.
Want me to watch here?
I replied yes, but stay safe. Monica was unraveling, and I needed to know her next move. I looked at Theo, now playing his violin softly, the notes a fragile shield. Monica's revenge had hurt him, but mine would protect him.
Tomorrow, I'd confront her with Philip, Daniel, and the truth.
She'd learn that breaking Theo was a mistake she'd regret. The April drizzle had returned by noon on April 17, 2025, slicking the Brooklyn streets as I sat in a coffee shop on Court Street, my hands wrapped around a lukewarm latte. Theo was at school, his violin practice paused for the day, but his quiet questions from last night, "Is Mom mad at me?" echoed in my head. Monica's cruel reveal at his talent show, announcing his adoption to the entire auditorium, had left him shaken, and my anger toward her burned hotter with every passing hour. My phone sat heavy with Miriam's latest text. Monica's PI sent her a report on you. Old emails, social media, nothing damning.
She's desperate.
The news chilled me, but it also sharpened my focus. Monica was digging for dirt, and I needed to know why. Daniel joined me, his umbrella dripping as he slid into the booth, a manila envelope in hand. My lawyer friend pulled some strings, he said, his voice low. Monica's startup filed for bankruptcy last week. She's drowning in debt, $200,000 and counting. He slid the envelope across, revealing financial records, missed payments, investor withdrawals, a looming foreclosure on her and Philip's brownstone.
My heart raced.
This explains her spiral, I said, scanning the pages. But why take it out on Theo?
On me.
Daniel leaned forward, his eyes grim. She's lashing out. You're happy, stable, Theo's favorite. She's losing everything. Her company, her marriage, her control. That stunt at the talent show was her trying to reclaim power. I nodded, my jaw tight. Monica's jealousy, fueled by her failing startup and my bond with Theo, had twisted into something vicious. But hurting a 12-year-old? That was a line she'd pay for crossing. My phone buzzed. Beth, Judith and Martin are at my place. Monica showed up, ranting about you undermining her. They sent her away. I showed Daniel, my anger flaring. She's not stopping, I said. She's painting me as the villain to Mom and Dad. He frowned, pulling out his phone. We need to talk to her face to face. Philip says she's at home today. Let's go. I hesitated, thinking of Theo, but Miss Clara had promised to check on him.
I texted her. Theo okay?
Keep him close. Her reply was quick. He's quiet but fine. I've got him. Monica and Philip's brownstone was a short drive away, its facade weathered, a for sale sign half hidden by overgrown shrubs. Philip answered the door, his face haggard, his shirt untucked. Lauren Daniel, he said, stepping aside. She's in the living room. She's not great. We entered, the air heavy with the scent of stale coffee and tension. Monica sat on the couch, a glass of wine in hand, her eyes red but defiant. Come to gloat, she snapped, her voice slurred. I crossed my arms, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest.
You heard Theo, Monica.
In front of his school, his friends. Why? Her lips curled, a bitter laugh escaping. He needed to know. You all treat him like he's yours, Lauren. I'm his mother. Daniel stepped forward, his tone sharp. You're his mother, and you humiliated him. You're in debt, your company's gone, and you're taking it out on a kid. Monica's glass trembled, her eyes flashing. You don't get it. I'm losing everything and she jabbed a finger at me, stealing my son. I took a breath, keeping my voice calm. I'm his aunt, Monica. I love him. You broke his trust, not me. I pulled out my phone, showing her the financial records. Your startup's failing, and you're blaming me? Digging into my life with a PI. Her face paled, but she didn't deny it. You're too perfect, she spat. Always the favorite, always the one Theo runs to. I had to take something back. Philip sank into a chair, his head in his hands.
Monica, stop.
You're destroying us. She ignored him, her gaze locked on me.
ULL never understand what it's like to lose everything.
My heart ached for her pain, but her actions were unforgivable. You didn't just hurt me, I said, my voice low.
You hurt Theo.
Fix this, or I'll make sure you face the consequences. Her eyes widened, but she said nothing, her wine glass shaking.
We left, the längse between Daniel and Emil heavy.
She's unraveling, he said as we drove back. But she's not done. We need to protect Theo. I nodded, my mind racing. Monica's PI report, her financial ruin, her obsession with my bond with Theo, it all pointed to a deeper vendetta. My phone buzzed. Simon, Monica's posting again, saying she'll tell Theo everything. Could mean his birth parents.
My blood ran cold.
Theo didn't know their identities, and Monica spilling that now could shatter him further. I called Miss Clara, my voice urgent. Keep Theo after school. Don't let Monica near him. She agreed, her tone serious. He's safe with me. I'll bring him to you tonight.
Relief mixed with street.
Monica was a wild card, and Theo was vulnerable. I texted Miriam, Anything more on Monica's PI? Or her plans? Her reply was quick. PI sent her your old journal entries, nothing incriminating. But she's been emailing someone about birth records. I'm digging. At my apartment, Theo returned with Miss Clara, his eyes downcast but calmer. Aunt Lauren, can I stay here tonight? He asked, his voice small. I hugged him, my voice soft. Of course, buddy. You're safe. Miss Clara pulled me aside, her voice low. Kids are whispering at school, but I'm shutting it down. Monica called the principal, asking about Theo. I told them to block her. I thanked her, my resolve hardening. Monica was escalating, and I needed to act fast. As Theo played his violin, the notes fragile but steady, I opened my laptop, pulling up Monica's latest post. Some truths are worth the pain. My anger surged. She was planning something, maybe revealing Theo's birth parents, maybe more lies to hurt me.
He texted Philip, Monica's talking about telling Theo everything.
Stop her, or I will. His reply was grim, I'm trying.
She's not listening.
Tomorrow, I'd confront Monica again, with Judith and Martin, to force her to back off. Her revenge had wounded Theo, but mine would shield him. I'd expose her instability, protect my nephew, and make her face the truth of what she'd done. The fight was just beginning, and I was ready. The Brooklyn air was damp and heavy on April 18, 2025, as I parked outside my parents' brownstone in Park Slope, the weight of Monica's actions at Theo's talent show pressing against my chest. Theo was safe at my apartment, watched by Beth, who'd offered to stay with him after school. Monica's cruel announcement, that Theo was adopted, revealed to a stunned auditorium, had left him reeling, and her latest social media post, hinting at telling him everything about his birth parents, set my nerves on edge. My bag held Monica's financial records, her bitter emails, and a screenshot of her post, evidence of her spiraling vendetta. Today, I'd confront her with Judith and Martin, force her to back off, and protect Theo from further harm. Daniel met me at the brownstone, his face grim as he clutched a folder from his lawyer friend. Monica's been emailing an adoption agency, he said, handing me printouts. She's trying to unseal Theo's birth records.
Philip doesn't know. My heart raced, anger flaring.
Unsealing records meant exposing Theo's birth parents' identities, a secret meant to stay locked until he was 18. She's lost it, I said, scanning the emails. Vague requests for full disclosure dated last week. She's using this to hurt us all. Judith opened the door, her eyes red from crying, Martin behind her, his shoulders slumped. Lauren, she's in the living room, Judith said, her voice shaking. She showed up an hour ago, ranting about you. We stepped inside, the familiar scent of rosemary and old books doing little to ease the tension. Monica sat on the couch, her auburn hair loose, her eyes glassy from either wine or exhaustion. Philip stood by the window, his face drawn, his hands clenched. You're here to gang up on me, Monica said, her voice slurred but sharp, her gaze locking on me.
Ich total, my voice steady. You hurt Theo, Monica.
You told his school he's adopted, humiliated him. Now you're digging into his birth records?
Why?
Her lips curled, a bitter smile forming. He's my son, Lauren. I decide what he knows. You're not his mom, no matter how much you act like it. Judith gasped, her hand gripping Martin's arm. Monica, stop, she said, her voice sharp. You're tearing this family apart.
Monica Laukhet, the sound hollow.
Family? Lauren's been stealing him from me for years.
Daniel stepped forward, holding up the financial records.
Your startup's bankrupt, you're in debt, and you're taking it out on a 12-year-old. You hired a PI to dig into Lauren.
What's next, Monica?
Her eyes widened, but she didn't deny it. You don't understand, she said, her voice breaking.
I'm losing everything. My company, my home, my son. Lawrence the golden child, always perfect.
I had to do something. Philip turned, his voice low. You didn't have to hurt Theo. That was your choice. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshot of her post. Some truths are worth the pain. This is about Theo's birth parents, isn't it? I asked, my voice cutting. You're planning to tell him, to hurt him more, just to get at me. Monica's face paled, her hands trembling. He deserves to know, she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. Martin stepped forward, his tone firm. He's a child, Monica. You don't get to decide this alone. Philip's his father, too. Philip nodded, his eyes on Monica. I told you to wait until he's older. You broke that promise. Monica's gaze darted between us, her defiance crumbling. I'm his mother, she said, but her voice was weak, a plea more than a claim. I leaned forward, my voice low. You're his mother, and you betrayed him. Fix this, Monica, or I'll make sure everyone knows how unstable you are. Her eyes flashed with fear, and for the first time, I saw her waver. My phone buzzed. Simon, Monica's PI just sent her a new report. It's about your miscarriage, old therapy notes.
She's trying to paint you as unfit.
My blood ran cold, but I kept my face neutral. Monica had dug up my private pain, the miscarriage I'd grieved years ago, to weaponize it. I showed Daniel, who cursed under his breath. We need to stop her before she takes this further, he said. I nodded, turning to Monica.
Your PES report?
I know about it. Keep pushing, and I'll drag you through court for harassment. Monica sank back, her face crumpling. I just wanted to be enough, she whispered, tears spilling. Judith moved to her side, her voice soft but firm. You're enough, Monica, but you're hurting everyone. Let us help you.
Monica shook her head, pulling away. I don't need your pity.
She stood, grabbing her purse, and stormed out, Philip following, his face a mix of guilt and exhaustion. We sat in silence, the weight of her unraveling heavy. Martin rubbed his temples. She needs help, Lauren. But Theo comes first. I nodded, my resolve unshaken. He's staying with me until she's stable. We need to talk to a lawyer, make it official. Daniel pulled out his phone. My friend's ready to file for temporary custody if Philip agrees. Monica's not fit right now. Judith's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Do what's best for Theo. My phone buzzed again. Miss Clara, Theo's okay, but kids are still talking. He's asking for you. My heart ached, but I texted back, I'm coming. Keep him safe. I looked at Daniel and my parents, my voice firm. We need to see Theo's adoption records, make sure Monica can't touch them. And we need to watch her, she's not done. Martin agreed, his voice gruff. I'll talk to Philip, get him on board. As I drove to pick up Theo, my mind raced. Monica's desperation, her PI's report, her attempt to unseal Theo's records. It was all a twisted bid to reclaim control. But Theo was my priority, his trust my anchor.
I texted Miriam, anything on the adoption agency?
Her reply was quick, they're cooperating. Got a contact who'll share sealed details tomorrow. Hope flickered, but so did dread. If Monica revealed Theo's birth parents, it could break him. Tomorrow, I'd push harder, protect my nephew, and make Monica face her own truth. The Brooklyn sky was a muted gray on April 19, 2025, as I stood outside Monica and Philip's brownstone, the air heavy with the threat of rain. Theo was at my apartment, playing his violin under Beth's watchful eye, his fragile calm a stark contrast to the storm Monica had unleashed at his talent show. Her cruel announcement, that Theo was adopted, blurted to a stunned auditorium, had wounded him deeply, and her attempts to unseal his birth records, revealed in her emails, signaled she wasn't done. My bag held the adoption agency's sealed file, obtained yesterday by Miriam's contact, along with Monica's financial records and PI reports. Today, with Daniel, Judith, and Martin, I'd confront her, force her to stop, and protect Theo's future. Daniel met me at the brownstone, his lawyer friend's advice fresh: file for temporary guardianship if Monica's unstable. Philip's consent strengthens the case. Judith and Martin waited inside, their faces drawn, the weight of Monica's actions etched in their eyes. Philip opened the door, his expression weary, his tie undone. She's in the kitchen, he said, his voice low. She's been drinking, but she'll talk. We stepped inside, the air thick with tension, the scent of stale coffee mingling with Judith's rosemary bread, a futile nod to normalcy. Monica sat at the kitchen table, a wine glass half empty, her auburn hair tangled. Her eyes flicked to me, sharp with defiance but clouded with exhaustion. Here to lecture me again, Lauren? she said, her voice slurred but biting. I stood firm, my voice steady.
You hurt Theo, Monika.
You told his school he's adopted, tried to unseal his birth records. You're spiraling, and it stops now. Judith's hand trembled on Martin's arm, her voice soft but firm.
She's right, Monika.
You're our daughter, but Theo's a child. He doesn't deserve this. Monika's laugh was bitter, her glass shaking.
You all love Theo more than me.
Lauren's the perfect aunt, stealing him while I'm drowning. Daniel held up the adoption file, his tone sharp. You emailed the agency, trying to expose Theo's birth parents. You hired a PI to dig into Lauren's past, her miscarriage, her therapy. This isn't about love, it's about control. Monika's face paled, her eyes darting to the file. You don't understand, she whispered. I'm his mother.
I'm losing everything.
Philip stepped forward, his voice breaking. You're losing us because you're choosing this, Monika. I begged you to wait, to tell Theo about his adoption gently. You broke that promise. I pulled out the PI's report, tossing it on the table.
You dug up my pint-to-pint Emilis unfit, Isaid, my voice low.
But Theo's staying with me until you're stable. Sign the guardianship papers, or we go to court.
Monika's eyes widened, tears spilling.
You can't take him, she choked out. Judith moved to her side, her voice gentle. We're not taking him, Monika. We're protecting him. You need help, therapy, rehab. Let us help you. Monika shoved the glass away, wine splashing, her voice rising.
I don't need your pity.
I'm his mother. Martin's tone was firm. Then act like it. Fix this, or you'll lose him for good. Monika's defiance crumbled, her sobs echoing as she buried her face in her hands. My phone buzzed. Miss Clara, Theo's okay, but he's asking about his birth parents. I kept it vague. He's with Beth. My heart ached, but I texted back, keep him there. I'll explain soon. I looked at Monika, my voice calm but unyielding. Theo's asking questions because of you. If you love him, you'll let him heal with me until you're better. Monika's sobs quieted, her eyes meeting mine, raw with pain. I didn't mean to hurt him, she whispered. I wanted to be enough. Philip knelt beside her, his voice soft.
You are enough, Monika.
But you need help.
Sign the papers. Let Lauren take care of Theo for now.
She hesitated, then nodded, her hands shaking as she took the pen Daniel offered. The guardianship form, drafted by his lawyer friend, gave me temporary custody with Philip's consent. Monika signed, her tears staining the paper. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice barely audible. We left the brownstone, the signed form a weight in my bag.
Judith hooked ML, Herr Eiswett.
You did right, Lauren. For Theo. Martin nodded, his voice gruff. We'll get Monika into treatment. She's our daughter, but Theo's the priority.
Daniel squeezed my shoulder.
You're his rock now. We'll make sure it sticks. I nodded, relief mixing with exhaustion. Monika's revenge had been a desperate act, but I'd countered it with truth and love. Back at my apartment, Theo greeted me with a shy smile, his violin in hand. Aunt Lauren, can we practice together? He asked, his voice steadier. I hugged him, my heart swelling. Always, buddy. We played, his notes blending with mine, a fragile harmony. Miss Clara called, confirming the school had blocked Monika's access for now. Beth and Simon stopped by, their support a quiet strength. Miriam texted, agency confirmed Theo's records are locked.
Monika can touch them.
The pieces were falling into place, Theo's world stabilizing. By June, Monika entered rehab, her startup dissolved, her marriage strained but mending. Philip visited Theo weekly, their bond growing as Monika healed. I sat with Theo at his school's spring concert, his violin soaring, his smile bright. The talent show's scars lingered, but he was healing, his trust in me unshaken. Monika sent a letter from rehab, apologizing to Theo, promising to make things right. He read it, his eyes thoughtful, and said, I'm glad she's getting help, Aunt Lauren. Standing in my apartment, Theo's violin case by the door, I felt the weight of April lift. Monika's revenge had aimed to break us, but love had rebuilt us. Theo was safe, our family bruised but whole. My fight had been for him, and in that, I'd won.